Y sobre Paddy Pimblet, bueno, él sabe dónde está el dinero ahora. Eso es lo que busca, porque las fiestas que se pegan hay que respaldarlos.
That will be a great one. But what excites me more is the fight with Paddy.
Really?
Yeah, that fight excites me even more.
Ilia Topuria has responded to Paddy Pimblet's recent threats with a challenge of his own, calling for a head-to-head showdown. Dismissing Paddy's talk, Topuria made it clear he's ready to settle it in the cage, especially since the money will be big. While admitting he's never liked Topuria personally, Paddy Pimblet gave him credit as a legitimate fighter. He claimed that despite their beef, he's never discredited Topuria's skills, unlike Ilia, who consistently downplays Paddy's abilities. Pimblet also took a shot at Topuria's past, especially about his weight, noting that Ilia himself can no longer make the weight class he once held a title in. Paddy didn't hold back, mocking the featherweight champ's size. Paddy called Topuria tiny and even claimed he's smaller than lightweight powerhouse Michael Chandler.
We always knew he was a good fighter, know what I mean? Like, that's sort of what pisses me off about him. Even though I hate him and I think he's a bellend, like, I wouldn't lie and say he's a shit fighter, because he's not. But that's what he says about me. And it made me laugh when he said, what did he say? He called me fat. That's like, lad, you can't make your weight division anymore that you are champion of, and you're trying to call me fat. He's a midget, lad. He's tiny. He's smaller than Michael Chandler.
However, Ilia Topuria responded to that claim in Joe Rogan's podcast by taking a jab at Paddy Pimblet's track record, claiming he only beats fighters like Michael Chandler at the tail end of their careers or opponents with limited skills. Topuria questioned Pimblet's resume, asking who he's beaten, and argued that Paddy has yet to face anyone truly elite. He also stated that a fight with Paddy is something that intrigues him.
He has that.
Well, he's very disarming, because people, they see, I talked about this in the last pay-per-view. I said it's a very sneaky trick, because guys like you look at you, the way you carry yourself, the way you, that's a fighter. Like, you look at that guy's a dangerous. But when you see Paddy, he's dancing like this, his hair is flopping around like he's in the Beatles. You know, he's like, he seems silly, but then he people up. And so I think people.
Yeah, but he people up like Michael Chandler.
Right.
But when he faced a real fight, who did he face?
Well, he hasn't faced anyone that good yet,
like,
but he Michael Chandler better than Charles Oliveira did.
Not one to back down, Paddy pushed back at criticism of his record by pointing at Ilia Topuria's resume, saying it's not much stronger. He argued that if Alexander Volkanovski hadn't been knocked out by Islam Makhachev before, Ilia wouldn't have finished him. For Paddy, the hype around Topuria isn't backed by as much substance as people think.
You know what I mean? Like, most of his fights coming up, you can compare them to my fighters are my opponents, know what I mean? But every fight he got before the title, Michael Chandler beat every single one of them. I can Bobby Green beat every single one of them. And I don't think he beat Volk if Volk hadn't been knocked out 3 months previous. I think that's one of the reasons why he did move to lightweight, because he didn't want to have that rematch with Volk.
Acknowledging the potential magnitude, Paddy Pimblet agreed that a fight with Ilia Topuria would be huge, citing their history and bad blood as major factors driving fan interest. He said the tension between them makes it a must-watch matchup, and outside of Tom Aspinall versus John Jones, he believes it's the biggest fight the UFC can make right now.
Do you envision that being Ilia?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest, apart from John Jones Aspinall, I think that's the biggest fight the UFC could make. Me versus Ilia, there's loads of history in it. Like, there's bad blood. People love all that.
When you actually think back to the altercation in the London hotel, from that moment to actually leading us to a lightweight world title fight, I mean, that is a crazy narrative, isn't it?
Yeah.
Pimblet doubled down, calling Ilia small and predictable. He added that the way he beat Chandler shows exactly how he'll handle Topuria, walking him down, breaking him apart. Paddy said Ilia just charges forward swinging, and that kind of style won't work. He promised to kick Topuria up and down the octagon, knock him out, or submit him. According to Paddy, the fight is destined to happen, and when it does, that even if there were no titles on the line, it would still be the main event, pay-per-view worthy.
You know, that what I've just done to Chandler's half the blueprint of beating him. He's even more of a midget than Chandler is. Like, I'll do the exact same thing to Ilia than what I've done to Chandler. But as I say, anyone can get it. All the names I mentioned. And even McGregor putting money on Chandler to win, lad. Like, the Irish Scouse connection, lad, he's meant to back me. And he never. So, if he wants it, he'll get muftied as well. And it'll be a very similar game plan to beat Ilia. He's small, he walks forward, swinging shots. I'll kick him up and down the octagon, and I'll either knock him out or submit him. Like that fight's there down the line. No, 100%. That fight's got to happen. That's a fight that you can have as a pay-per-view main event with no title on the line.
That gives me like chills just thinking about that. The press conferences and shit. That'd be crazy.
The press. They'd have to do a world tour for that, like they did with Aldo McGregor. That'd be fucking hilarious.
Nice ring to it, innit? Topuria Pimblet for the
Yeah,
for the
and I'll absolutely kick him everywhere.
It's got a nice ring to it.
Meanwhile, Topuria showed clear interest in fighting Paddy Pimblet, saying Paddy knows exactly where the money is, and it's with him. Topuria claimed Paddy needs the cash to fund his lifestyle and parties, so he'll accept the fight the moment it's offered. He states that if the fight happens, it will be massive given their hostile relationship.
That will be a great one. But what excites me more is the fight with Paddy.
Really?
Yeah, that fight excites me even more.
Y sobre Paddy Pimblet, bueno, él sabe dónde está el dinero ahora. Eso es lo que busca, porque las fiestas que se pegan hay que respaldarlos.
If they could put that fight in Spain, in the Bernabeu Stadium,
They're in negotiation right now.
that will be a massive one. In Spain, against that pimple.
On the topic of weight classes, Pimblet questioned why Topuria moved up to lightweight, calling him undersized even for featherweight. Paddy claimed Topuria won't last at 155, predicting he'll get manhandled and submitted by bigger, stronger fighters in the division at lightweight.
I don't understand why he's moved up. He's tiny. He's saying he can't make the weight anymore, but he's tiny. He's not even a big featherweight. Never mind big enough for lightweight. If he fights Islam, he'll get manhandled and he'll get submitted. So I don't even understand why he's moved up.
Moving on, the tension between Paddy Pimblet and Ilia Topuria goes beyond typical fight hype. This rivalry is personal. Every exchange adds fuel to a fire that's been burning for years. And it's clear the bad blood isn't for show. This grudge match isn't just about rankings, it's about settling something much deeper.
Come on, do something then. Do something, stand up. What'll you do? You'll do nothing. You'll do nothing, you little fart. Go and sit back down. Sit back down, you little p***y. Puta.
Fucking pussy. Fuck. Everything he touches.
You little mushroom.
Hey, I don't think he gets the balls to face me and close himself in the octagon with me, so him.
Adding to the criticism, Paddy Pimblet questioned Ilia Topuria's star power, saying he's not as big as he believes. He also called out Topuria for jumping divisions after just one title defense, noting that most champions make that move only after multiple defenses, not after one win at the top.
See Ilia fighting Islam. You know what I mean? He's only defended the belt once. Normally you need to defend the belt like 3 times, and he's not that big of a star to just jump. He's not McGregor. You know what I mean? To just jump right up and fight for the other belt. So I can't personally see that happening, but we'll see what happens. I heard Ilia's headline in the 314 event against Volk, but you don't know till nothing's finalised with the UFC. Like, I've been told this and that in the last few weeks, last few months, and you know, we'll just see what happens.
Try to copy his idol, Conor McGregor, if he's got copied his tattoos and all that, the little sausage.
Do you at least respect the risk that he's taking?
Yeah, give him his due, he's moving up, but he talks lad. You know, he's saying he's too big to make featherweight. You're about this big, you know what I mean? Tries to call me fat in interviews, lad. Like, if you can't make featherweight, you're a fat little you know what I mean? You're about 5'5". Like, at least I'm a big ass lightweight, you know what I mean? And I've never missed weight, I've never talked about moving up, because I'm a professional, you know what I mean? You're a little
Before any clash with Paddy Pimblet can happen, Ilia Topuria has a major hurdle in front of him, Charles Oliveira. He'll need to get through Charles before the talk of the next matchup becomes anything more than hype. Sharing his thoughts, Luke Thomas expressed his excitement for Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. He praised Topuria's drive, but emphasized that Oliveira is a warhorse who won't back down and will bring the fight straight to him.
Now, as it pertains to that Topuria versus Oliveira fight, I love this fight. I love this fight. I love this fight. Topuria going up at 55, I think I would have loved to see him stick around at 45. The weight cut was a problem. We all know the story. Here he is at 55. We already know his power carries. He seems driven. Oliveira is an absolute guaranteed war horse that you know will bring the fight to Topuria. No question about it. A guy who was a champion himself, a guy who's had an incredibly decorated run at lightweight, a guy who took him a little bit of time to figure out who he was and get things right in his career, but as he did, he turned into a fan favorite and a beloved figure in the fight game. And I think at the end, I suspect Topuria will win. I had not seen the odds. I do believe that is probably coming, but I love this fight, and I love what it means for Topuria to be at lightweight. Again, it's one of those things where I wish, now he had some epic fights on his way out the door at 45. I just wish he would have stuck around longer, but...
Echoing the stance, the MMA guru believes Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira is a pay-per-view level fight, even without a title on the line. He pointed out that both names draw serious fan interest, but added a note of caution that Topuria's performance at lightweight still remains untested. He stated that he won't fight for long as he has achieved a good status, and following which will likely open doors for other opportunities.
In the meantime, for a title shot, I think that there's a theory about, you know, if there's a belt on the line, it's much bigger.
Yeah.
But people just love the two names. Don't always have to be a belt on the line. They do this with a BMF belt. But if Ilia Topuria fights Charles Oliveira on a pay-per-view, that's a big deal.
Oh, it's going to be bigger.
They don't need to wait for an interim belt. They don't need to wait for an undisputed. So, yeah. I don't know how he's going to do it lightweight, though. Maybe you can speak on that.
You think another two?
Another 2-3. If he loses, he might think,
well, I got to do some more.
Yeah, because he's such a name now in Spain, and he's a big followed guy. He got loads of views on JRE. But the thing about Ilia is, normally with him, the featherweight champion just became champ. He knocked out Volkanovski, knocked out Holloway back-to-back.
Yep.
You would think the next fight he'd have, he'd be some minus 1,000 favorite.
Yeah.
But now he's got to be put into these 50-50s. He's forced it upon himself because he doesn't want to reset hunger.
Yeah.
He needs to maintain hunger because he's now made the millions. I think he was already quite well off anyway.
Yep.
Timing and feints and head movement. He's very, he presses forward. They can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
He forces it.
Yep.
You know, he's a bully.
He forces the fight.
Yeah, he forces the fight.
If you're going to run from him, he's eventually going to find you.
He's going to find you.
You're going to have to fight him, right?
Stay away. Stay away from Ilia.
I feel Islam, Southpaw.
While leaning toward Ilia Topuria, the MMA guru stressed Charles Oliveira remains a serious threat. He highlighted how the lightweight division's pace and style differ from featherweight, with Oliveira's ability to close distance, force scrambles, and threaten takedowns posing challenges that could throw Topuria off his game. However, Guru also pointed out that Charles has been dropped numerous times throughout his career and has a tendency to get hurt in the middle of exchanges, which could become a problem while facing a power puncher and striker.
We're going to get into these. So we've got Ilia Topuria versus Charles Oliveira. Very intriguing stuff. Very, very hyped up fight. I'm leaning towards Ilia Topuria. I think Charles Oliveira can win. I think he can, he can get in there. He can clash with Ilia Topuria. He can threaten a takedown. It's different at lightweight. The finishing potential at lightweight is very different than the featherweight division. When at featherweight, you see a guy like Ilia Topuria who just can knock you out. And all of a sudden, they stand out as this insane finishing potential type of guy. You've got Josh Emmett who might get a KO. So I do feel like finishing potential stands out a lot more at featherweight than it does at lightweight. So Ilia's going to be facing a much more dangerous fighter in front of him. Not in terms of skill. You got Volkanovski at featherweight. These are very skilled guys. Max Holloway. But in terms of danger, and Ilia is a guy who throws himself into danger in these fights. So I do think that Ilia Topuria is going to win this fight. I got Ilia Topuria by finish because I don't think Oliveira is going to be able to play a counter-striking game on the back foot. I just don't see that happening. So I think if Ilia Topuria is going to lose or Oliveira is going to try and win, he's going to try and damage Topuria from the clinch, shoot offensively with a grappling, which he could get something done from. He could get a takedown and get the back. That's Oliveira. He could do that, but we haven't seen that. And I don't think Ilia's more lost on the ground than Michael Chandler is when it comes to giving up his back, or I think Ilia's got that, I just think Ilia's hands are going to be way faster. And I think Ilia's hands are going to get through the guard of Oliveira, or around the guard of Oliveira, should I say. I think he's going to find body shots in this fight as well. So I'm going to go with Ilia Topuria. I think there'll be a moment where he knocks down Charles quite badly, stands him back up after a failed TKO finish, and then puts it on him again and maybe puts Charles Oliveira away with a body shot, headshot combination up against the cage. I've got Ilia Topuria winning, but Another part that's interesting about this fight is Islam Makhachev's vacated the lightweight world championship.
Adding to the weight class discussion, Demetrius Johnson weighed in on Ilia Topuria's transition to a higher weight class, acknowledging that despite perceptions of him being a smaller fighter on the rise, Topuria is, in fact, a natural lightweight. With a walk-around weight reportedly at 191 pounds, Topuria's prior ability to cut down to featherweight only adds to the narrative of his physical toughness and discipline, as he now steps into a division more suited to his frame.
Smaller coming up. It'll be interesting because he is bigger from when I heard him on the Joe Rogan podcast. Like 191, I think he was walking around. That's massive. So for him to cut to 145, it just seems almost like, how did he do that? But now that he's going up to 155, I always like when athletes go up heavier to their natural weight. Right? Like him cutting to 145, that's not natural. He was able to do it. It's almost like Conor when he was cutting to 145. It almost kind of evens the play. So would he still have that power at 155? Right? That's the thing we're going to have to find out. I'm sure he will, but he'll have the power, but I'm sure the 155ers frame will be able to take it more than a 145er can.
Meanwhile, Michael Bisping praised Charles Oliveira as one of the most dangerous fighters in the game. He highlighted Oliveira's record-breaking bonuses and submissions, calling him a technical buzzsaw with punches, knees, kicks, elbows, and lightning-fast submissions that make him a constant threat from start to finish.
That's not a given. We know Charles is amazing. We know he's dangerous. We know he's got the most submissions, the most bonuses. He's a dangerous, aggressive son of a bitch, okay? And he's very technical as well. And he's a buzzsaw. He's going to walk forward, punches, knees, elbows, you name it. He'll lock on a submission quick as a flash, right? Super dangerous, okay? Beat Michael Chandler via decision. Before that, lost to Ahmed Sarukian. The man's about 36 years old. He's had a long career. He's had close to 50 fights. A lot of wear and tear on the body. A few losses along the way as well. Granted, that was the featherweight version. Of course, Ilia used to be a featherweight. This is his first fight at lightweight, so don't think there's going to be any gigantic size difference.
On the flip side, Michael assessed Ilia Topuria's skill set, highlighting the Spaniard's dangerous blend of punching power, crisp boxing, and Greco-Roman wrestling. According to Bisping, it wouldn't be a shock if Topuria pulls off a win in his new weight class. Should he succeed, the path forward could lead to even greater ambitions, possibly eyeing a historic run at becoming a 3-division champion.
And with the punching power of Ilia Topuria, the boxing that he has, the footwork that he has, and the Greco-Roman wrestling, it wouldn't surprise me if Ilia pulls it off. And if he does become victorious, then you know he's going to look at becoming a 3-weight division champion. Or when Islam comes back down, he's going to be talking a bit of shit and saying, no, now you've got to win another fight at 155 pounds to prove yourself.
Sharing his perspective, Javier Mendez has publicly backed Ilia Topuria to come out on top against Charles Oliveira, citing professional confidence in Topuria's abilities. Yet, on a personal level, Mendez revealed his support leans toward Oliveira, reflecting the emotional complexities behind this high-profile showdown.
He's going to have a hard time with his boxing against him, and he's going to have a hell of a time trying to take him down. You know, if it's that type of even, like you get 100, you can make 100, I would put Ilia. He feels he cannot be beaten.
So, whether it's Charles Oliveira standing in his way or Paddy Pimblet stoking the fire, Ilia Topuria finds himself at the heart of some of MMA's most heated storylines. As tensions rise and the stakes climb higher, one thing's certain, this isn't just about belts or bragging rights. It's personal, it's explosive, and it's only just getting started. If you're hyped for this showdown and want to see how it all plays out, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and drop your predictions in the comments below. Stay tuned, because this rivalry is far from over.